totally. I mean, it's been such an interesting time, obviously, with everything that we're moving through right now. And, you know, I've been, I'm kind of like you, where I have like very physical kind of moments of like, okay, I'm thinking about fascia. And then I have very like existential moments of like, I'm thinking about like the meaning of all of this and like why we're here at this pivotal time. Like I kind of ricochet back and forth between those spaces at this moment. I mean, I've been working with my own pieces around this, and I find it fascinating that the last class that I was in before all of this COVID stuff began was the lung course. So we did like 4 days of lung work. And man, like I'm super grateful for that because, you know, the lung, I mean, number one, you know, we're working with a virus that impacts the lungs. So I'm like happy that my lungs are like probably the happiest they've ever been. Number two, if we look at Chinese medicine, lung is grief, all around letting go, this major interface with the external world, and like sort of a sense of this, like this between the world space in the lungs, and this vitality piece. There's just so much there, and I was blown away with lung work because it's so specific. And osteopathy, for anybody that doesn't know about osteopathy, which a lot of people on the West Coast like don't know what it is, which is kind of where I came from. Like it was, it's not really a thing out here as much, and now, you know, I'm sort of immersed in it. I recognize that there's just so much subtlety. There's just so much subtlety. It's like in that class alone, we learned to work with like the hilum of the lungs and the fissures of the lungs and like the parenchyma of the lungs and the bronchi and, you know, the many layers of the pleura and, you know, learning to feel every part, you know, every level of tissue, which all feel different. Like the pleura feels completely different than the parenchyma or the external aspect of the lung or the fissure, you know. So yeah, which is wild. It's like just wild. Like you're basically thinking through skin, external fascia, bone, middle fascia, down to pleura, 7 layers of parietal and visceral pleura to get to the lung itself, and then sinking into the lung, which is like, you know, a little bit.
So when are you talking about an actual, like in a session with someone, you're sticking your hands?
Yeah, you're basically in osteopathy. The idea is like and obviously I'm not feeling, like I'm feeling those levels, but I'm not feeling those levels. So the idea in osteopathy, and the best osteopaths are the ones that have the best palpation and the best sense of anatomy. So because they can literally feel the difference between like the flippery feel of a fascia and the depth and vitality of a parenchyma, which is like the inside of an organ. Yeah. So, or the like a bone feels a very specific way, and every practitioner will have a different feel. So like I tend to be very sensorial. I come from an energy medicine background. I like being woo-woo. You know, it's easy for me. I like hit, you know, energy or sensorial. So the cranial, what we consider in osteopathy, the primary respiratory mechanism. So it's like the vitality, the life force in the body. That for me, super easy to get to. Whereas something like bone is harder for me. You know, it's like a very physical tissue. So because you can be on like the fascia on the bone and not be feeling what's actually happening at the bone level itself, right? So there's a sinking. So if you ever like, and you'll probably never be in this space, but if you would ever like be a fly in the wall in our classroom and trying to comprehend what people are talking about, they'll often be like, okay, I sink to bone, or I sink to this level, and then I'm assessing at that level specifically, right? And so you can sink to an artery, you can sink to a vein, you can sink to a nerve, you can, this entire year has been visceral, so we're sinking you know, we're working with every single part of the viscera. Well, not every single part yet, but getting there. And so each organ has a different feeling. So like your pancreas feels a little like cottage cheese when you feel it. And a liver is super full, right? It's like a really full parenchyma. And so even if you're going along and tapping, you can actually hear the difference between like the tapping over a lung and the tapping over a liver, right? You can feel the change in the tissue.